I attended Japanese language school and I didn't like it. And I want to share my experience with you. It's based on my personal perspective. Some people I know really enjoyed going to Japanese language school. Some people I know went through much worse experience than I am. So if you're planning to attend Japanese language school, this video might help you to set up your expectations. And if you're not, it simply will be a look into how things went for me. This video will be divided in 3 parts. In the first part, I will tell you about how I started learning Japanese. And at the second part, the longest one, I will share 8 reasons why I didn't like going to a Japanese language school. And the last part, the final one, will be a quick advice for those people who want to enroll in Japanese language school. So stick around till the end and let's get started! My journey learning Japanese. So I started studying Japanese in Ukraine by attending local language courses. I was in my mid-20s and studied in a group with my best friend. We built a solid foundation and later switched to online private tutoring. But by the time I arrived at Japanese language school, I was already close to intermediate level.
Oh Jesus! My mouth got back! No!
My goal enrolling to the school was to advance my Japanese to a higher level so I can get a job. Though I managed to get a job without Japanese knowledge. If you're curious, I have a video about my experience working in Japan. So basically, when I arrived at the school, I had to take a test and I was assigned to an intermediate level group. I will not mention the name of the school I enrolled because this is not like a negative review or something like that. I just want to share with you experience, and here, based on my journey, the list of my complaints and what I didn't like while going to a language school in Japan. I was unable to practice speaking Japanese. I joined the class where students supposed to be the same level as me. So I expected that we'd be able to practice speaking Japanese together, like it was back in Ukraine with my best friend. Unfortunately, it wasn't the case. Most of my classmates could pass tests, but struggled to make a basic sentence in Japanese. And this is not me complaining about students, this is me complaining about the system that was in school. And I'm bringing this speaking issue the first because I will explain why it was like that later. So keep watching, this is not so subtle foreshadowing. Don't get me wrong, studying grammar, doing exercise, homework, it's all very important, but if we couldn't practice, what's the point, right? And I could, like when I was at school, I basically could talk only to teachers and couple other, we were minority of students who wanted to practice Japanese. And it was very frustrating because, again, you're in Japan studying Japanese in a school, you paid, the school is expensive, Japanese language schools are expensive, so you paid a lot of money and you could not even practice the language. So this is something like from the start on, like from my first classes were like, why are we not talking, why are we not learning how to speak?
Why?
Especially because I used to study English as a teenager, and we started the teacher was pushing us to talk very early on our language journey, and as a result, as you can see, I can speak English.
Mistake! Brother, understand?
Not perfect one, but and my Japanese is also not perfect, but basically I'm capable to talk Japanese only because I made friends in Japan, not because of the language school. And my next complaint is a reason why the school didn't focus on teaching us how to speak Japanese. The school was too focused on the JLPT. The JLPT, Japanese Language Proficiency Test, is the most well-known Japanese language exam. It has 5 levels, ranging from N5, the easiest one for the beginners, and to N1, the highest one or level of proficiency. Most Japanese workplaces require foreign applicants to pass N2 or N1 to consider to get a job. So the exam consists of listening sections, of grammar, and guess what it does not have? Speaking! And my school was focusing on only on the JLPT. It was focusing students to pass JLPT and nothing else. And I don't understand that. Like, even if you have N1 or N2 but you cannot speak, which a lot of students, by the way, have in Japan. So the exam doesn't make you actual fluent in Japanese. So again, some students can pass the exam, including the students from my school. I saw those who cannot speak passing the exam. So maybe, I don't know, you can do like writing emails, translation, but you cannot have a conversation. And my school was focusing only on how to pass the exam. Like all the, which is again, fine, I guess, when you're beginner, but very frustrating when you already have some experience, including with JLPT, and you actually just want to learn deeper, actual, real Japanese people speak, because especially again for me, at the moment when I was studying in Japanese, at that point I was very serious about trying to migrate to Japan. I don't want to do that anymore. I enjoy being there, like just as a tourist. I enjoy culture, I respect all the things, but living there is not for me. But at the moment I was like considering living there, and it was so frustrating that my school was only focused for students to pass JLPT. And honestly, it wasn't even good at that. Honestly, I will tell you some at my other like complaints where things went wrong even with that. So that does bring on to the next point, that the school's program didn't make sense. 3 months courses. Basically, the school year was divided into 3 months courses, and at the end of each course we had a test, and if you failed, you had to redo the entire 3 months again.
Oh my god!
You were allowed 2 retakes, but in my school you had to pay 300 yens to do a retake, and if you failed you have to pay it again, and which is just ridiculous, especially considering how Japanese language schools are expensive, and mine was very expensive. For context, I don't come from a wealthy family. I was earning everything by myself for all my studies. And you can say like, oh, but Tori, these 3-month semesters were designed to keep students at the same level. If someone fails, they need to retake a course so they don't slow everyone down in the next group. Okay, in theory it works. Maybe, right? In practice, absolutely not. As I mentioned before, in my first complaint, most students couldn't speak Japanese and didn't know much grammar rules as well, honestly. The system didn't work at all, especially because many students were just cheating. Come on, they were just cheating. The tests, like retake tests, they've been around the same for years, and they were going just photo with answers, and students were just cheating. And how do I know? I'm extrovert. I talk to people. I had to do actually one retake because I was sick at the day of my exam, and they didn't let me do retake, so I had to go through 3 months. That's why I'm so angry, because they didn't let me to retake because I was sick. I had to go through the same months again. which is, again, I basically paid for the same course twice, which wasn't super effective, and which why also, again, I probably was so angry. And again, this system didn't actually help anyone to keep up with their group level. It just created unnecessary stress. We changed class every 3 months, we changed teacher every 3 months. The program was just the same, but everything else was different, and it was like so stressful. And talking about changing teachers, let's move on to the next complaint. The skill level of teachers varied significantly. Because we had to change teachers every 3 months, we quickly realized just how bad some of them were. And look, I get it, Japanese language school teachers aren't paying that well, but some were uninterested in their student that it felt like that we were a burden to them. And the worst part, when you finally got a teacher that, like, who actually care about you, like, care about your progress, cared about your achievements, you had to say bye-bye, ja, mata ne, and just hope that the next teacher wouldn't be terrible. And again, I understand the idea behind rotating teachers, that it should give us more experience, but I would prefer one main teacher responsible for the students with occasional guest teacher for specific lessons. I think it's important for a student to build a connection with their teacher, and 3-month system simply didn't allow doing that. And sometimes the issue wasn't just how teacher taught. The program itself was a mess, and let's talk about it in the next point. The advanced program was bad. So after grinding through multiple 3-month cycles, passing all the tests, and finally reaching the advanced level course, I thought things would get better. Spoiler, they didn't. At this stage, the school's sole focus was preparing us for JLPT N2, and for some reason, they completely stopped teaching us kanji, like Japanese letters. Like, they just stopped teaching us, and they also stopped giving us homework. So not only I was still not getting any speaking practice, but now I also has ditched kanji altogether. Their excuse: we have too much grammar to cover, so there is no time for kanji. Girl, kanji is literally one of the N2 part of the exam. Like, what do you mean? Not to mention, it's essential for everyday life in Japan. What were they thinking? I don't know. Like, it was so annoying. And so far, I was mostly complaining about, academic sides of things of my language school experience. But were there any problems with other school activities? Absolutely yes! Let's go into that! We were required to participate in school events. For full context, most of the students at my school were young adults over 20, many of whom had part-time jobs or other classes, so we weren't kids, we weren't children. We were paying a lot of money to study Japanese seriously. Yet for some reason, the school occasionally forced us to participate in activities designed for children. Like in anime, like those their festivals or whatever. Like for example, one day we had to attend sports festival and play dodgeball. And another time they made students cross-dressed for a Christmas event. And sure, you might say, oh, it's for teamwork and bonding and whatever, but let's be real, it didn't make sense. It didn't make sense, especially considering that they claim they didn't have enough time to teach us kanji for an exam. Like, they don't have time for that, yet somehow they have time to make guys wear dresses to entertain other teachers during Christmas event. Like, I mean, maybe there was our introduction to Japanese work culture where they forced to do absolutely unnecessary things, but I didn't enjoy it. Like, we're talking about, like, my level of enjoyment, it was like, I didn't like it. I didn't like it doing random unnecessary things that did not improve my language skills. Let me share my next final complaint before I move to my advice to everyone who's thinking to go to a Japanese language school. We were not allowed to charge our phones in class. I'm sharing this one just because I'm petty. But honestly, it was so weird. The school didn't allow us to use the outlets to charge our phones. Their reasoning was, "You're stealing from the school because we have to pay for the electricity." I'm sorry, but I paid for this school, including whatever tiny fraction of the electricity bill my phone would use. And I think I deserve to charge my phone. And the funnier part was, you know what? Everyone still were charging their phones, just when no one was watching. The rule didn't even make sense. Like, teachers sometimes were saying that, and I also saw once, like, the teacher was angry, but usually they either didn't notice or like pretend they didn't notice. But I'm petty, you know. I'm very petty because of this, because it's, you know, sometimes it's the small things, because again, I have a big experience in learning languages, going to different schools. I graduated university, I graduated a bunch of different not only language courses, and this experience was outrageous for me, and it was the most expensive one. Let's move on for my final take in this video. What should you consider when choosing a language school? Do I think all language schools in Japan are bad? No. Firstly, I can't speak for all Japanese language schools. I attended only one. But based on my experience, I'd say my school is actually fine for complete beginners. I knew some students at the beginner levels, and for them the school teacher approach worked pretty well and they were satisfied with everything, and I can see that. However, for upper level students, it was a different story. Many of my friends who attended different other language schools for advanced Japanese also felt a little bit unsatisfied with the way they were taught. And if you're looking for a language school, my biggest recommendation is going to be to avoid schools in expensive areas. The price often depends on the area when it's placed. My mistake was assuming that a higher tuition fee meant better program, but after talking to friends who attended other language schools, it looks the same. The programs are not the same, but they are quite similar. So if location of your school is not something critical to you, I'd advise you to look for a school somewhere not in a fancy part of city where you're planning to look for it. It will be cheaper and the program probably will be also better or the same. Again, most of reason why my school was so expensive because it was in a very, very fancy part of Tokyo. It's not only because it was in Tokyo, it was in a fancy part of Tokyo. And when I was attending there, again, I was thinking, high price means better program, but apparently high price meant only that the location was fancy, and that's it. So again, I'm not against language schools. I think they are beneficial for people who are starting. They also giving you long-term visa, so you have more time to realize, do you want to live in Japan or not? If you're looking for experience and that. For my personal goals to study Japanese to native-like level to advanced level with the language school, it didn't help me. So keeping that in mind, I hope you will find a school that will fit your expectations, and you can ask me in comments anything if you have more questions. Again, I will not say what school it was. I don't have like direct beef with my school, but I can tell you which part of Tokyo are expensive ones. So feel free to ask me in the comments. So that's my experience with Japanese language school. Despite all complaints you heard today, I'm like that, okay? It was still a valuable life experience, and I'm really glad that I had it. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'm Tori. By the way, hi, I'm Tori. I make videos about Japan, anime, and manga. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I post videos regularly featuring my original illustrations, and I'm super close to hitting my goal of 1000 subscribers, and I really appreciate your comments and support. Your likes means truly the world to me. Oh. Choose any of videos on the screen, I don't know, like I put them somewhere to watch next, because watching more of my content helps signal to the algorithm that my videos are interesting to people and worth checking out. So I'm already working on my next video, so see you in the next one!